For hours, she carried the fragile dog in her arms, her legs shaking, her heart pounding. Every step was a battle against exhaustion and fear. When she finally reached the vet, no one could have predicted the miracle that would unfold next. Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The morning sun filtered through the dense canopy of trees, casting golden patches of light on the narrow dirt path. The air was cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and wildflowers. Emma, a 12-year-old girl with a worn pink backpack, was on her usual walk to collect wild berries for her grandmother. Her footsteps were light, but she stopped abruptly when a faint, pitiful whimper drifted through the stillness. At first, she thought it might be the wind, but then it came again, soft, broken, and desperate. Heart pounding, she followed the sound, pushing aside low branches until she stepped into a small clearing. There, lying on its side, was a German shepherd. His fur was matted with dirt, and his sides rose and fell in shallow breaths. One look at his eyes, glazed with pain, told her this was no ordinary morning. This was a moment that demanded action. Emma's breath caught in her throat as she crouched beside the dog. Up close, the situation was far worse. A deep wound along his side was raw and angry, the fur around it sticky with dried blood. Flies buzzed lazily in the warm air, and the shepherd whimpered when she reached out a trembling hand. She looked around frantically, hoping an owner might appear, but the forest was silent. There was no one else, just her and him. Emma pressed her small palm gently to his head. "It's okay," she whispered, though her voice quivered. She thought of her grandmother's words. If you see a life in danger, you don't walk away. Her mind raced. She had no phone, no bike, no way to call for help. Only one option remained. She would carry him, no matter how far, no matter how heavy. She had to try. Emma slid her arms carefully beneath the dog's limp body, wincing as she felt the heaviness of him settle against her small frame. He was far heavier than she'd imagined. Each step would be a battle. But the moment she stood, his head dropped gently against her shoulder, and she knew she couldn't put him down. Her sneakers sank into the soft earth of the trail as she began the long walk toward the nearest road. Every few steps, she adjusted her grip, her muscles burning. The forest seemed endless, the chirping of birds replaced by the sound of her own labored breathing. She whispered encouragements, both to him and to herself. "We're almost there, just a little further." The shepherd's shallow breaths warmed her neck, and though the weight threatened to crush her, she clung to the thought that somewhere ahead, help was waiting. By the time Emma emerged from the forest, her arms trembled from exhaustion. The paved road stretched ahead, empty, except for a haze of heat shimmering above it. She scanned the horizon desperately, hoping for a sign of life. A faint hum grew louder, the sound of an approaching vehicle. Emma staggered to the edge of the road, waving one arm while clutching the shepherd tighter with the other. The car slowed, then stopped, a middle-aged couple staring in shock at the sight before them. A determined young girl, carrying an injured dog nearly her size. The woman flung open the passenger door. "Get in quickly," she urged. Emma hesitated only long enough to ensure the shepherd was secure before sliding in beside him. The man behind the wheel glanced at her through the mirror, his voice steady but urgent. "Hold on, kid. We'll get him to help." The car sped down the winding road, tires humming against the asphalt. Emma sat in the back seat, her arms wrapped protectively around the shepherd's body, feeling every shallow rise and fall of his chest. She whispered to him, as if her voice alone could keep him tethered to life. The woman in the passenger seat turned back frequently, offering a reassuring smile, while the man pressed harder on the gas. "We're almost there," he said, though his voice carried the weight of urgency. Emma's mind raced. Every bump in the road felt like it stole precious seconds. She thought of the long walk through the forest, the moment she'd found him, and the promise she'd silently made, "I won't lose you." Ahead, a small sign appeared with a paw print and red cross. The woman pointed. "That's it. The clinic. Hold on, just a little longer." The vet clinic doors burst open as Emma and the couple rushed inside. The sharp scent of antiseptic filled the air, mixing with the faint whimper from the shepherd in her arms. A vet tech immediately wheeled over a gurney, and Emma reluctantly laid him down, her hands trembling as she let go. Dr. Harris, a calm but swift-moving man with silver-rimmed glasses, quickly assessed the dog. Severe dehydration, possible internal injury, he murmured to his team. The shepherd's paw twitched at Emma's touch, as if he knew she was still there. Emma stepped back, her heart pounding, watching the flurry of medical activity. For lines being inserted, warm blankets draped over his frail frame. Every beep of the monitors felt like a battle cry against time. Dr. Harris glanced up. "We'll do everything we can," he promised, before disappearing with the dog into the treatment room. Emma sank into one of the hard plastic chairs. In the clinic's waiting area, her hands clasped so tightly they hurt. The ticking clock on the wall seemed deafening, each second stretching into eternity. The couple sat beside her, offering quiet reassurances, but her thoughts were far away, inside that treatment room with him. Every so often, she caught muffled sounds from beyond the swinging doors, the clink of metal instruments, the low murmur of voices. Her stomach twisted with worry. She replayed the last few hours in her mind, the weight of him in her arms, his faint heartbeat, the trust in his eyes. The receptionist offered her a cup of water, but she barely touched it. Then, just as she began to fear the worst, the doors opened. Dr. Harris stepped out, removing his gloves, his expression unreadable. "Emma," he said gently, "there's something you need to hear." Emma's heart pounded as she rose to her feet, searching Dr. Harris's face for a clue. For a moment, he said nothing, just pulled up a chair and sat across from her. "It's a miracle he made it here in time," he began, his voice warm but measured. "He's malnourished, dehydrated, and had severe hypothermia. But you got him here just in time. We've stabilized him. He's not out of danger yet. But there's hope." Emma's breath caught. Relief washed over her, mixing with a fresh wave of tears. The couple beside her smiled, their eyes glistening. Dr. Harris continued, "He's resting now. He'll need days of treatment, but if his condition keeps improving, you'll be able to see him soon." For the first time in hours, Emma felt her body relax. Hope, fragile yet fierce, had taken root in her chest. Maybe, just maybe, he was going to live. 2 days later, Emma stood outside the small recovery room, her hands trembling against the doorframe. The steady beeping of monitors echoed inside, a quiet reminder that life, fragile as it was, still pulsed in the little dog she had fought. 4. Dr. Harris gave her a gentle nod. "He's ready for a visitor. Keep it calm and quiet. He's still weak." Emma stepped in slowly, her breath catching at the sight. The puppy was curled on a soft blanket, and 4-line taped to his tiny paw. His fur, once matted with cold and dirt, was now clean and warm under the dim light. When her shadow fell across him, he stirred. His eyes fluttered open, and for a moment, they simply stared at each other. Then, ever so slightly, his tail thumped against the blanket. Emma dropped to her knees. "Hey, buddy," she whispered. "I missed you too." Days passed, and each visit deepened the bond between Emma and the puppy. His strength returned slowly, first a flicker of curiosity, then short bursts of playful energy. Every time Emma entered, his tail would wag faster, his eyes bright with recognition. One afternoon, Dr. Harris caught her lingering at the doorway. "You know," he said with a knowing smile, "he's ready to go home. He's been waiting for you." Emma froze. "Home? You mean, with me?" The vet nodded. "He trusts you. That's rare after what he's been through." Tears welled in her eyes as the puppy wobbled toward her, tiny paws pattering on the floor. He stopped at her feet and looked up, as if asking the question himself. Emma scooped him into her arms, pressing her cheek to his soft fur. "Yes," she whispered, voice trembling. "You're mine now. Forever."